Heart disease won't stop us. Diabetes, allergies, cancer. Nothing will keep the Freighter and the Medical College of Wisconsin Health Network from pushing Wisconsin ahead. We're constantly raising the bar for medical excellence and providing more ways to receive it, so you have it for all your health needs, big and small. Let's push ahead, and we'll make life here as great as it can be. Visit Freighter.com to find out how.
Can it get any easier?
I don't think so.
James, you can get an online order done at martyspizza.net in 30 seconds.
And we've made it easy to order all the favorites that a lot of Marty's Pizza lovers gotta have.
Our classic sausage and pepperoni pizza or lasagna and masticholi entrees. They're all delicious. Marty's Pizza in Delafield and martyspizza.net for easy online ordering.
Register online for Red Card Loyalty, and after 15 pizzas, you'll get your next one free!
Marty's Pizza. Do you remember when times were good? Well, they're good again. It's as good today as it was in the past. It doesn't get any better than that. Remember, Marty's Pizza.
So if you're looking to install a new glass shower door, you're going to want to see selection. The more you see, the better choice you can make. And that's why our store is loaded with 20 different glass shower door options. And what sets Les's Glass apart is that you're going to have somebody close by for help who's been here for years and years to ask them questions and get reliable answers. Now, no one's going to be hounding you, but when you need an answer, you're not going to have to search around. One thing you can count on at Les's Glass is that there will always be a member of our staff here with decades of experience. And that matters, because how many times have you been at the big box home improvement store, walking around trying to find someone who can actually answer your questions? This is Stacy Sinks. If it's a new glass shower door, fogged or broken insulated glass replacement, or affordable glass and mirror home decor that you've been looking for, you just can't pass on Les's Glass. Les's Glass Service, serving all of southeastern Wisconsin. Find us at lesglassservice.com.
Now that the game is done, it's our time to check in.
Oh, Giannis plunges it through. Seek and destroy. The big fella puts it down with one hand.
Let's Talk starts now.
And here's another one tonight, 131 to 113. A tough one to lose, particularly to a team that was right in front of you in the standings.
And now, live from Fiserv Forum, here's Justin Garcia.
Well, you heard it there, an 18-point loss in what felt like a must-win game or essentially a cannot-lose game. And mathematically, you are not eliminated from the postseason as of this moment, but this really felt like this was a crippling blow for this Bucks team and their hope, any hope that remained of reaching the postseason with this loss to Atlanta. So, again, 5 games back in the overall standings, 4 games separating you, the Hawks, and the Hornets, who won once again tonight in the loss column. And we have just seen Atlanta and Charlotte trending in much separate or much different directions than the Bucks have for basically the last month. And you go back to the loss on Monday, and we heard Bobby Portis very candid and critical about the team's performance and saying that 8 wins in 10 game stretch felt like fool's gold when you look at what the team followed it up with in that loss to the Knicks and the way they looked in that 23-point loss to the Bulls, where you surrendered a 27-0 run from the third quarter into the fourth quarter against a team, we've mentioned it before, but down 6 rotational players on the injury report. Traded away Nikola Vucevic, traded away Kobe White, traded away Ayo Dosunmu. You follow that up by starting the homestand with another loss by 20-plus points, your most recent time on the floor. And now you narrowly miss a 20-point loss, but still a double-digit loss nonetheless, moving even further down in the standings with just 21 games remaining on the season. 855-616-1620 is the Siding Unlimited talk and text line to join us tonight on Bucks Talk. And again, technically still alive by the numbers here, but it is getting harder and harder to see this Bucks team playing beyond the second weekend in April here this season. And look, we've talked about it a little bit on this show, and I've talked about it on other shows as well. The whole tanking notion. The Bucks are in an unfortunate spot right now because, for one, it's a lot more difficult to tank and just play for a draft pick when you don't know what that draft pick's going to be. You know, when you don't control your own draft. You do have a pick this summer, and that's the good thing for the Bucks, but it's a pick swap. And when you look at those teams in the standings right now, the overall league standings, right now, the New Orleans Pelicans have the 6th worst record in the league. It is possible for New Orleans to move up, honestly, to right around where the Bucks are when you look at these teams in terms of wins, because all of those teams that are closest to the Pelicans, number one, nobody is catching those bottom teams. Sacramento, Indiana, they both have 14 wins for Sacramento, 15 for Indiana and Brooklyn. 16 for the Washington Wizards. 18 wins for the Utah Jazz. The New Orleans Pelicans right now have 19 wins. 21 from the Mavericks, 23 from the Grizzlies, 25 from the Bulls, 26 from the Bucks. Of all those teams below New Orleans, and even if we lump in Memphis and Dallas, none of those teams have any incentive to win. The Pelicans don't have an incentive to lose. They do not have a pick this summer. So it's entirely possible to see New Orleans playing to win in the remaining schedule and continuing to move up in the standings. It is entirely possible for New Orleans and Milwaukee to finish right next to each other in terms of what their lottery odds are. You're going to end up with a pick here that's, by the looks of it, going to be a lottery pick, and by the numbers, very likely somewhere around 10 if you're the Bucks. But that whole pick swap complicates things for this group. This loss, though, if you weren't already there, probably should force you to reevaluate some things. And I think we started to hear that from Doc Rivers after the game as well, talking about rotations and other things they needed to see here. This is going to speed that up. And you do have to wonder, too, what does this mean for how frequently we see Giannis? He's currently playing on a minutes restriction. Do we get to the point where, all right, we'll play you, but we're going to keep you on a minutes restriction, and we're going to work in some more off days as well? Because we're starting to see the die has been cast with this group right now. And in many ways, this game tonight kind of felt like a microcosm of this season. When you think back to the way the Bucks started those first 5 games, where we were all believers, and you were talking about what Ryan Rollins was providing, some of the spark that we saw in those 10 minutes where you had your preferred starters on the floor and everything was going great for the Bucks. And then before you knew it, that stretch was gone, and this team could just never regain its footing. Tonight, the offense was there early. They hit shots early, 6 of 9 on threes, 11 made threes in the first half. And then before you knew it, it was gone in the second half. A 10-0 run to start things off for the Hawks. And from that point forward, the Bucks never recovered. Tonight's game was really what we've seen all season long. And with 21 games remaining on the season, instead of fighting for your playoff life and remaining competitive in this stretch, the focus and the goals may now shift to getting a look at young guys, getting a look at rotations and groupings to see what works together versus what doesn't, and just seeing what guys like Ousmane Dieng can do with a heavier workload and trying to get a better sense on what's worth building around for this team as early as this summer. 855-616-1620 is the Siding Unlimited talk and text line to join us tonight on Bucks Talk. An 18-point loss to the Atlanta Hawks, and the Bucks now 5 games out of the playoff picture. Back with more after this on Bucks Talk.
This is Bucks Talk.
Do you want the economy mulch or the premium? The only real difference is that the premium mulch has thicker strands, while the economy mulch is finer. But the colorant we use for both is of the highest quality, and that's why the color of our mulch lasts longer. And our mulch comes from trees, not pallets, and we process it all in-house. That's why our prices are so low. Ericson's Landscape Supply, high-quality mulch and stone for a whole lot less. Commercial or residential, visit ericsonslandscapesupply.com to see our entire selection. At Ericson's Landscape Supply, we have durable, maintenance-free polywood patio furniture and #1 grade treated natural pine Amish-made patio furniture. And we also have a wonderful assortment of concrete benches, statues, and fountains available in a selection you just gotta see to believe. Ericson's Landscape Supply, high-quality mulch and stone for a whole lot less, plus a whole lot more. Commercial or residential, visit ericsonslandscapesupply.com to see our entire selection or stop on in today.
Raise your hand if you're excited about feeling older faster than you should. Hey, this is WTMJ Steve Scavidi. Yeah, I didn't think so. Ongoing pain makes you feel older than you are, but here's the good news. QC Kinetics patients right here in Milwaukee are getting relief, like me, feeling younger, hope so, jumping back into life full speed, and it didn't happen in an operating room. Dr. Ashley Caravelli and her team at QC Kinetics, medical professionals all the way, use the latest regenerative treatments backed by real science, treatments that take the tiny, powerful healing tools inside your own body, concentrate them right where you need relief. That's how. Let's say Mike is training for a marathon instead of giving up running. Kathy walked around Disney with her grandkids. Alan's back to work, now climbing ladders, no big deal. All real QC Kinetics patients. The sooner you start with treatment, the sooner inflammation eases and the sooner joint damage slows down, because no one signs up for feeling older faster. Find out if you're a candidate for QC Kinetics regenerative treatments. Your visit and consultation is free. 414-667-5559. That's 414-667-5559.
Hey beauties, you're invited to swing by your local Merle Norman for a fabulous eye-catching gift with purchase that's sure to make you sparkle. What's inside this gift? Only the essentials for eye perfection. Trial sizes of Brilliancy eye cream, eyeshadow primer, a soft touch eyeshadow duo, and soft touch eye pencil. Hurry, these goodies are only good while supplies last at Merle Norman Cosmetics Salon and Spa at Brookfield Square. Free with the purchase of 2 or more Merle Norman cosmetic products. Cosmetic accessories not included. Offer valid while supplies last at participating Merle Norman Cosmetic Studios only. Limit 1 per customer. We reserve the right to modify the gift if needed. Promotion not available at merlenorman.com.
Welcome back to Bucks Talk.
.131 to 113, our final tonight inside Fiserv Forum. The Atlanta Hawks have dealt a major blow to the Bucks' postseason hopes with this victory tonight. 855-616-1620. The Signing Unlimited talk and text line to join us tonight on Bucks Talk. I don't know what the odds are, what the latest is, but what percent chance would you give the Bucks of reaching the play-in tournament, Matt? Because I think it was like plus 1,000 within the last week, where there was still this not great odds, but still this little glimmer of hope of, well, they still have 2 against Atlanta, and they've got those teams, and they had the, I think, 7th easiest schedule coming into play tonight. And they got Giannis that's back. So by the numbers, no, they shouldn't reach it, but we're not really willing to write them off. Now you see this. What do you place it at?
Like 10%. And maybe that's generous, but yeah, I think like a week ago it would have been much higher than that, or even less than a week ago. But you're right. I think the biggest concern...
A week ago was pre-4-game losing streak.
Yeah. But I think the biggest concern is just that, yes, Giannis is back, but it just doesn't look right. Doesn't look the same. I think that's the bigger concern more than just losing 4 in a row and being 5 back of the Hawks, who have gotten hot.
Not only losing 4 in a row, but losing 4 in a row badly. You know, like this one, good news, bad news, right? Start with the bad news. Well, you lost, and your postseason hopes were already reaching the point of we should probably get you in the car and start going to the hospital. Now it's on life support. But the good news is it wasn't by 20 points this time. So you brought an end to that streak. It's just... It's still hard to process that this is what we've seen from this group. That, you know, it's been like quicksand, and it spiraled quickly in every single one of these games. And we talked about on the pregame show that they got to play 48 minutes, right? And every team and every coach is going to say that. Play hard from start to finish. But with this team, they don't have the margin for error to not play hard for 48 minutes. And we talked quite a bit after that game against the Celtics that you saw stark contrasts between the two teams. There's a clear system. There's a clear identity. I'm not turning into a coaching debate. Joe Mazzulla's a very, very good coach. And the Celtics players played extremely hard. It was stark, the difference that you saw in all accounts on both sides. Bucks versus the Celtics in that game. Tonight, you got off to a great start. And I think it was halftime or the end of the first quarter, one of the two. Pointed it out, and part of you was like, well, I don't want to be the wet blanket here. But end of the first quarter, Bucks were shooting 73%. Atlanta was shooting 46%. You were 6 of 9 on threes, and they were 3 of 11. So you were up, and you had a nice offensive quarter, 38-25, but you couldn't help but circle that. Well, they're shooting 73%. Points in the paint are basically even. Rebounds were advantage Hawks, and they had 4 offensive rebounds to 0 from you. They turned the ball over more than you. So knowing that, look, you should be up double figures. If they're going to have more turnovers and if you're going to shoot the way that you have, you should be up double figures. So at least you knock that. But let's keep an eye on these things, because if they continue to rebound, if turnovers start to sway one way or the other, and, oh, by the way, if they start to hit threes, this could start to be a problem. And that slowly started in the second quarter, and it exploded in the third quarter. That has been a nightly battle for this team. It's reached the point where it just feels like you're going to have to play perfect for 48 minutes. Otherwise, you're going to be in trouble in every single game you find yourself in. 855-616-1620, the Siding Unlimited talk and text line to join us tonight on Bucks Talk. A tough one for the Bucks that I would venture to guess most, if not all of you, would say this effectively ends the season for the Bucks. Tommy in San Diego, let's head to the phone lines and speak with you. You're up first.
Hey, Justin. Oh, man. This 4 straight, just brutal, hard to watch second halves. And, it has to come back to coaching at some point. There was a point in the first half where we ran out a Cam Thomas, Kyle Kuzma at the 2, Pete Nance at the 3, Bobby Portis at the 4, Jericho Sims at the 5 lineup, which we're running 4 power forwards out there. Sims is kind of a 5, Bobby's kind of a 5. I don't think anyone would say Kyle Kuzma's a 2. And then not only do they run that lineup for 3 minutes, lose those 3 minutes, call timeout because there's a massive run for the Hawks, but then you come back from timeout and it's the same lineup. And then he came back with that lineup in the third quarter after it was terrible in the first half too. And I know at the end of the day the plus-minus says the bench was pretty good, but I just don't understand that combination of players. It seems like the coaching staff is just kind of throwing stuff out there and just trying. The defense doesn't seem to have any coherent principles. You're throwing out 4 bigs and you still can't rebound. I guess maybe that was the idea, but I just don't know anymore.
So you weren't in favor of that lineup, I take it, is what you're trying to say.
I just don't, what is that lineup good at,
I got some news for you. I think we're going to see some more of that lineup, because after the game tonight, we all but heard from Doc Rivers, yeah, if you're small, I don't know how much playing time you're going to get the rest of the way, because I guess we're just going to have to lean into defensive lineups and play bigger.
I understand playing bigger, but I still don't think Bobby's a good rebounder. I don't know.
Yeah, and look, it's collective too, and thanks for the call. What we heard from Quinn Snyder before the game tonight. Let me see if I can find the exact quote. But everything Quinn Snyder said, it applies to the Bucks as well, and we just unfortunately haven't seen it. when he's talked about, what they have to do and how they have to play. Rebounding has to be a strength. And in the games played since the All-Star break, it's not a huge sample size. It hasn't been the toughest schedule in the world for the Hawks. They're now, I believe, 6-1 out of the All-Star break. But you know what? Just as we said, some of those wins that the Bucks piled up, which Bobby Portis had pointed out, fool's gold. But just as we said, you know what? You got to start somewhere. That I don't even care what the opponent record is. If you're going to start to win, fine. That's a step forward. Same applies to Atlanta, but the other big difference is Atlanta was not winning those games. Atlanta was blowing opponents out in those games, and that basically continued tonight too. But he talked about rebounding being the strength for them. Since the All-Star break, they're the number one defensive team in the league. 113, it's not a bad performance, for your defense here. So they're going to remain right around the number one team since the All-Star break in defense. They are in the top 5 in every single rebounding category since the All-Star break. And that is another reason for their success. And we have constantly talked about the possession battle. And it's an area the Bucks have not only lost, have gotten throttled in throughout the course of the season. But as it pertains to rebounding, Quinn Snyder, before the game, said, you have to emphasize something over and over and over. And sometimes you have to just kind of collectively hold your breath and hope that it's going to work. But we've had a chance to basically regroup, reemphasize things, and work on some things with the All-Star break coming out of it and with some of these moves that we've made and the personnel changes. Jonathan Kuminga, whom we did not see tonight, is one of those guys, but said it's how we're built. We're smaller. And when we started Nneka Okongwu at center, who is not a center. Nneka Okongwu is a power forward, small forward size guy. He plays bigger than he is. But when that's your starting 5, it has to be a collective effort. And Quinn Snyder's quote was, maybe we just got to tip the ball to one another. Given our size, we're not going to rebound in a conventional way. So we have to understand that the possession game is the single most important thing there is. We have to rebound the ball and get some possessions to have a chance unconventionally, right? Just gang rebound. It's a collective effort. We've heard that from at least 3 coaches that have been in here in the last couple of weeks here during this very home-heavy schedule, that you've heard more and more of that. For a while, it was every team wants to shoot more threes and they want to play faster, and I think that still largely applies. But you know what you're going to hear a ton of next year, when we always hear, just like every player's in the best shape of their life, and it's the old, what did you do during your summer vacation and school days? What we are going to hear coming out of every single media day and every training camp next year is talk about the possessions, and we have to win the possession battle. I've talked on a nightly basis about true shot attempts, and tonight the Bucks were actually doing a pretty good job. It was relatively even-ish in this game. You took 86 shots, the Hawks took 92, but you got more free throw attempts than the Hawks did in this game tonight. You're going to hear coaches and teams talk about possessions and talk about rebounding next season. Training camp, media day, all of it. All through the preseason. Rebounding. We have to embrace a gang mentality on the glass. You're going to hear a lot of phrases like that. And for the Bucks, the same applies. That's what they need to do. That's what they've been unable to do throughout the course of this season. I'm not saying if you dominate on the glass, you're going to win every single game, but you know what? You're going to put yourself in a position to be there. The true shot category here, Bucks still lost tonight, and it basically is right where their season average is, which remains dead last in the league. Tonight, the Atlanta Hawks took 99 true shot attempts. The Bucks, if we round up, took 95. It may not seem like a lot to say, well, it's just 5 more. It's basically 5 more possessions. And if I'm telling you, take the ball 5 more times than me, we're going to play one-on-one. And instead of I go, you go, you take 5 straight shots. And we'll see if you're going to win the game. You probably are, and that's what the Bucks are doing every single night here because of their inability to do those things that we heard from Quinn Snyder tonight. We heard from Kenny Atkinson a week ago tonight, when he was talking about that's the new cheat code in the NBA is just get offensive rebounds. Tap them out to your teammates for three-pointers. The teams that do that are teams that winning games. Bucks are not doing that. And now we're talking about a team that's 9 games below 500 with 21 games remaining on the season. And traditionally, you could look at things and say, well, it's the East, the play-in tournament, you're going to be able to get to 37, 38, 39 wins, somewhere around there, and you'll be in it. That's not going to happen this year. You're going to have to be above 500 to get into the play-in tournament, and that just seems all but impossible at this point for the Bucks to get to 500 with 21 games remaining on the season. 855-616-1620. That is the Siding Unlimited talk and text line to join us tonight on Bucks Talk. More after this as the Bucks once again taste defeat, an 18-point home loss in an absolutely crucial game. We're back after this on Bucks Talk.
You're listening to Bucks Talk.
Heart disease won't stop us. Diabetes, allergies, cancer. Nothing will keep the Freighter and the Medical College of Wisconsin Health Network from pushing Wisconsin ahead. We're constantly raising the bar for medical excellence and providing more ways to receive it, so you have it for all your health needs, big and small. Let's push ahead, and we'll make life here as great as it can be. Visit Freighter.com to find out how.
Visit family-owned Ken Michaels Furniture and our in-store design centers where you'll still find beautiful, luxurious, heirloom-quality American-made furniture. Right now, save 30 to 35% store-wide and take advantage of our complimentary design services. Whether you're moving, renovating, or updating, our designers will help your vision become a reality. Visit Ken Michaels Furniture in Brookfield on Capitol Drive and in Greenfield on Highway 100 to save 30 to 35% store-wide today. Sleep better and save more with mattresses from Milwaukee Mattress and Ken Michaels Furniture. Handcrafted in our Milwaukee factory, our mattresses utilize natural materials like cotton cushioning, which dissipates body heat, Joma wool quilts for warm wintry nights and cool summer evenings, and natural latex providing superior conformability and pressure relief for aching joints. Stop in today at any Ken Michaels Furniture store and save up to 50% compared to national brands.
March into big savings at Exterior Pros and Baths. Refresh your home this season with energy-efficient windows, durable roofing, beautiful new siding, or a stunning bath remodel and get $3,000 off your project. That's $3,000 in instant savings during their March savings event. But this offer won't last long. Call 262-800-4274 or visit extpros.com today. Exterior Pros and Baths. Big savings done right.
Outdoor Living Unlimited has become Wisconsin's top TimberTech decking installer by building decks the right way and the safe way. Imagine a design for your backyard that includes an amazing new deck, railing, and stairs. Want to add other features? Outdoor Living Unlimited can do that too. Free estimates and ideas. Start the process by going to OutdoorLivingUnlimited.com today.
WTMJ, W277CV, and WKTI HD2 Milwaukee from the Annex Wealth Management Studios. This is News Radio WTMJ, a Good Karma brand station. The Round Ball Repartee returns. This is Bucks Talk.
131 to 113, our final tonight, an 18-point loss in an absolutely crucial game for the Bucks, as whether or not they were already on life support for their postseason chances, they are definitely there now. And it's reached the point where you're calling family members to let them know, hey, you may want to get there and see the Bucks, because I don't know how much time is left. So now is time to make your peace with them. Since the All-Star break, the Bucks are number 27 out of 30 in defensive rating. The offense has not been much better either, but they're 27th in defensive rating. They are 26th in net rating, and they're 21st in offensive rating. coming out of the All-Star break, where you started to find momentum, where we all fell in love with Ousmane Dieng, where Cam Thomas exploded against the Orlando Magic in game number 2 of that baseball series, where you beat the Oklahoma City Thunder, starting to build some momentum and looking ahead to the post-All-Star break schedule and saying it starts with the Pelicans, and then we have 9 out of 10 at home. That one road game is a bus trip to Chicago. Like, we've won back-to-back games, and that's the schedule that we have waiting for us. This is the time to go on a run. And instead, the Bucks have gone 3-5 with an offense in the bottom 10, defense in the bottom 5, rebounding after it felt like they were starting to find some momentum there. They're 24th in rebounding rate since the All-Star break. They are 20th in defensive rebounding rate. They're 26th in offensive rebounding rate, which, again, the glass half full, glass half empty view. I mean, glass half empty is, hey, you're 26th in offensive rebounding rate since the break. The glass half full view is, you know, they've been 30 for most of the season, so they're at least starting to get better there. But every single category, you cannot find one thing to point to and say, see, this tells it. Like, there's at least this. All of those, it's fleeting now. Those are starting to exit here. And effective field goal percentage, back in the early portion of the season, so many times we would point at that and say, well, they're still shooting the crap out of the ball. They're number 1 in effective field goal percentage. So if you can just bring your possessions up, if you can get more rebounds, if you can get some turnovers, if you can stop turning the ball over, you know what? Then you're going to score a lot of points, and you're going to be in a good spot. They're 11th in effective field goal percentage, which, again, isn't bad. They've been number 1 for a large majority of this season, or at least in the top 3 for a majority of the season. So to slide to number 11 since the All-Star break tells you something. Same story for true shooting percentage. They're 15th there. They've been playing at a faster pace, but it's still not a fast pace. They've just struggled to do one thing consistently well, and it's come at a critical juncture in their season. That's the toughest part to comprehend of all of this. And I know Giannis has missed some time, and now Kevin Porter Jr. goes down, and it sounds like that's something we're going to have to keep an eye on, that it may be some time before we see Kevin Porter Jr., but it's going to take basically perfection for the Bucks to get into the postseason now. Like, if you want to get to 500, at this point, 500 at minimum is what you're going to have to finish to reach the play-in tournament. That means going 15-6 the rest of the way. 855-616-1620, the Siding Unlimited talk and text line to join us tonight on Bucks Talk. So I mentioned it sounds like it could be some time for Kevin Porter Jr. We'll revisit those comments from Doc Rivers. And I mentioned it before, too, with our first caller. He specifically mentioned playing bigger and looking for more size. So does that mean, or could that mean, more lineups like what we saw early in this game with multiple bigs on the floor? What other changes could we possibly be looking at for this Bucks team? We'll dig into that coming after this on Bucks Talk.
The Hardwood Homilies continue after this. This is Bucks Talk.
Accident Mortgage is an equal housing lender. NMLS ID 255368.
This is Brian Wickard, your potentate of lower rates. You've probably heard mortgage rates are at their lowest in 4 years. Acunet's helping a metric ton of our clients take advantage of this dip in rates while it lasts, because there's no guarantee how long this window of opportunity will actually stay open. We'd like to help you consider your refi options too. Sure, you can call your current lender for a one-size-fits-all refi that probably comes with high closing costs and no real in-depth consultation. Or you can click on the blue button for a no-pressure, expertly crafted refi checkup. We'll help you compare all your options, including our genuine no-loan cost refi, which over half of our clients choose. What about a 28 or 29-year loan instead of going back to 30 years? And how much money should you bring to closing or get back instead? Your friendly Acunet loan consultant will lay out all your options side by side and help you make the right decision for you. Find out how much you can save by clicking on the blue button today at Acunet.com. That's ACCUNET.com.
James Imaging Systems, a 100% Wisconsin-owned and managed business technology company. James' client, Amy Simonson, IT administrator with Professional Services Group.
We have several locations throughout southeastern Wisconsin. Having them all under one company has been very helpful.
Big or small, one location or several, James Imaging Systems is your one-stop business technology resource.
And they are on top of everything. When we have a problem, it's answered right away.
James Imaging Systems, IT-driven workflow automation, security enhancements, digital transformation, and unrivaled local service and support.
And they're always looking for what else can we do? What else do you need? So they want our company to succeed as well as their own.
Let James Imaging Systems help your business succeed. Call 262-781-7700 or visit jamesimaging.com. James Imaging Systems, your local business technology partner.
A buck doesn't buy much unless you're spending it at Griffin. For just $1 over cost, you can buy brand new tires from us. This is Jim Griffin. Any major brand, $1 over our cost with free tire repair and lifetime rotation. We'll even show you the invoice to prove it. Our only requirements, we put them on for you. Buy one or the whole set. The dollar deal from Griffin. Milwaukee and Waukesha. Griffin. The buck stops here, but the deals on tires don't. That's Griffin.
Not combinable with other tire offers.
This is Bucks Talk.
131 to 113, the final tonight. Atlanta Hawks dominates the final 36 minutes of this game, and that's something we've said far too often this season. At one point early in the fourth quarter, it was 87 to 60 that the Hawks had outscored the Bucks since the first 12 minutes of the game. So again, you scored 38 points in the opening quarter, and you scored 42 points in all of the second half. 75 points scored after that 38-point outburst in 3 times the length of the game. And Atlanta had 65 points in the second half alone, but they outscore you 106 to 75 the rest of the way. We heard Bobby Portis talk about fool's gold with this team. We've heard many, many coaches share thoughts on rebounding, which the Bucks have just not done well enough all season. And we heard after the game Doc Rivers saying, maybe we have to play different players too, referencing their size. It never feels like, or it hasn't felt like they've ever really found the right mix. Tonight with his starting lineup too, Ousmane Dieng. I mean, there's clearly something there, but it's still raw, and he's still young. He started 4 for 4, finished 2 of 10 the rest of the way. 10 points in the opening quarter, 14 points for the game. But early going, when the Bucks were digging in and getting stops and creating good looks, a lot of it started with Ousmane Dieng was hitting open jumpers. Their defense was able to switch 1 through 5. Ryan Rollins was getting into the paint and finding open shooters. Guys were hitting shots. Everything was working for this group. The moment the shots stopped falling, it just seemed to bleed onto the defensive side as well. The stops weren't there. Atlanta was getting out and running. Atlanta had far too many open shooters all throughout the course of the game. There was a lot of confusion all night long. And look, you've got a group that largely has not played together when we're talking about that starting 5. So there's going to be some of it, but there shouldn't be the volume of which we saw throughout the course of this game. The other harsh truth, too, is you need more than 1 of 6 shooting from A.J. Green. It's not to place all the blame on A.J. Green here, because as a team, you didn't shoot well enough. 13 of 39 on 3. This is a team that is built to hit threes. If you're not going to hit threes, you're going to have a lot of problems here, especially the way this defense has played of late. You're going to get outscored. And if you're not hitting threes but you're trading baskets, that's what we saw for stretches of the second quarter and early in the third quarter. That lead is going to start to build for the opponent. But, it gets increasingly more and more difficult on nights when the shot isn't there for a shooter like A.J. Green. because of some of the other things that he has struggled to overcome. And it's not just A.J. only. But when you think about some of the lineups that have had A.J. Green and Gary Trent Jr. and others on the court, that's where the Bucks have gotten really, really manhandled on the glass. So if you're not going to be hitting shots and you're losing the possession battle because the opponents are getting offensive rebounds on the perimeter, right? The 2 guard and the 3, those are the guys that are usually winning those battles. The Bucks bigs have been fine, especially of late with Jericho Sims and what he's done. But if you're not going to be hitting shots and you're going to be giving up more possessions, it's a vicious cycle. And tonight for AJ, it was a tough night with open looks, but 1 of 6 from 3. You could see they wanted to get him going early, too, because I believe his first 2 field goal attempts of the game were 2s. And that one was, in a reverse layup under the basket that AJ almost never takes. And you could see even he was like, I don't know, should I be taking this? And it didn't fall. But when you hear, we might have to play different players, at this point, I don't even know who that is, right? Is it we're going to dust off Andre Jackson Jr. again and see, all right, this is the last chance of maybe there's something in here that we can start to develop. Is it Gary Trent Jr.? I would assume no, because Doc had said the defense, and we'll have to play bigger. Gary Harris, same story there. Got a DNP coach's decision tonight. Last time it was Kyle Kuzma. Tonight it was Gary Harris. Maybe it means more Pete Nance, and, well, let's see if Pete Nance and Jericho Sims is a formidable front line. Maybe it's more Miles Turner, too, because that's the other thing is it doesn't feel like there's a lot of role clarity. And for Miles Turner especially, 21 minutes tonight. 26 from Giannis, 27 from Ousmane Dieng, 35 from Ryan Rollins, 23 from A.J. Green. It's just a group that the further we've gotten into the season, the less and less they feel connected. Which, again, for a team that is fighting to make the postseason, that's clearly not the direction you need to be headed in. 5 games in the standings as we sit here now is what separates you from those play-in tournament teams. And with 21 games remaining, it's not impossible, but it is very, very difficult to make up that type of ground. But there is one other unfortunate thing here for the Bucks, and that's the teams below them in the standings and why they're just kind of in limbo and in this awkward spot here for these final 21 games. So we'll open up that conversation and wrap things up after this on Bucks Talk.
This is Bucks Talk.
Heart disease won't stop us. Diabetes, allergies, cancer. Nothing will keep the Freighter and the Medical College of Wisconsin Health Network from pushing Wisconsin ahead. We're constantly raising the bar for medical excellence and providing more ways to receive it, so you have it for all your health needs, big and small. Let's push ahead, and we'll make life here as great as it can be. Visit Freighter.com to find out how.
With an ever-changing inventory, you never know what great bargains you're going to be able to find at St. Vincent de Paul thrift stores. It makes shopping fun because the best finds are the ones you had no idea you'd even come across. And when they're at thrift store prices, it feels good. And it feels even better to know you're helping us help others. Shop St. Vincent de Paul thrift stores on Highway 100 in Layton and Greenfield, 23rd in Lincoln, and 76th and Bradley Road in Milwaukee.
You're gonna love it, St. Vincent de Paul. You're gonna love it all when you shop at St. Vincent de Paul. Old things, new things here for you. We're always changing, we're always new. So many friendly people, smiles from wall to wall. You're gonna love it, St. Vincent de Paul. You're gonna love it, St. Vincent de Paul.
Business owners
and right-hand men and women.
When you make the catering call for your office gathering,
make it Marty's Pizza.
For pizza, pasta, subs, wings, appetizers, and more.
Delivered in our heated oven delivery trucks.
Our catering delivery range has expanded.
All the way east into Brookfield.
Just log on to martyspizza.net for easy online ordering.
Or give us a call at 262-646-3327. 262-646-3327.
Pizza. Do you remember when times were good? Well, they're good again. It's as good today as it was in the past. It doesn't get any better than that. Remember Marty's Pizza.
Welcome back to Bucks Talk.
$131 to $113, the final score tonight. The Atlanta Hawks continue to roll of late as they're now 32-31 on the season. Same story for the Charlotte Hornets, who obliterated the Boston Celtics tonight. And, Charlotte is now up to 9th in the Eastern Conference standings, not that far behind Miami. And the Bucks are just drifting further and further away from the pack. I said there's really an unfortunate thing or something that's going to keep this Bucks team kind of in limbo, and that is you're now just as far back from the Atlanta Hawks in the standings for that final spot in the play-in tournament. You're just as far back from them as you are from going down in the standings, a considerable amount. Like, you look at the top, even number 7, 7th best odds to win the lottery, you're 5 games away from that, too. Right now, the Bucks would have the 10th best odds in the lottery. Maybe you can slide below Chicago, who, despite beating you, is really trying to tank. Right now, you're 2 losses in front of the Bulls. You're 3 losses in front of the Memphis Grizzlies. So, those 2 are somewhat attainable. 5, if we don't think you can overcome a 5-game margin at this point in the season, do we think the Dallas Mavericks can overcome a 5-game margin of catching the Bucks when Dallas has no incentive to win? New Orleans is the only team in that group that has an incentive to win, but they're 9 games back of you in the standings. And the other thing, too, for all the talk of tanking, I've talked about it before, the Bucks are not tanking, but they haven't needed to with the performance in these games. But even if you start to slide, I think your best case scenario is you slide down to 7th or 8th best chance. One of the teams that's probably going to come at the expense of, that's going to start to climb up there, the New Orleans Pelicans. And why that's important is because of the pick swap component, and their record matters. Has nothing to do with Atlanta and their pick. It's you and New Orleans. So that's the other challenging part of all of this when we talk about, well, this slot has this % chance to go up to this, to get into the top 4, to win the lottery. Number 1, the Bucks can't win the lottery because of the swap component. But that's just what that position, what their odds are. It's not what the Bucks' odds are, because you have to factor in the pick swap there. And it just feels like the reality is you're going to be picking probably 10th. Like New Orleans, let's say they finish right now, they have the 6th worst record. Let's say they do slide down to 7. There could be 4 teams beneath them, including you, that jump into the top 4. And they slide back 4 spots. Then all of a sudden they're picking 11th, and you've jumped past them. And maybe you're picking 7th. So you're still ending up with the 11th pick in that scenario. That's why tanking never made sense for this group. That clock already passed. That 8 wins in 10 game stretch, that eliminated any chance of quote-unquote tanking. But now the important part is to just find what you can for next season. If you win games along the way, fine. I don't think it does any damage, given what we just said of Chicago is still 2 games back of you, Memphis is 2 games back of you, Dallas is 5 back, and then after that, it's teams you aren't catching, even 5. If we don't think the Bucks are catching the Hawks or the Hornets, the Mavericks are not catching the Bucks either. So it's realistically 2 slots lower that you could slide down there in the lottery odds here. You should get a top 10 pick. It should be a pretty valuable piece for this group that has not had that for a decade now. You can't get the number 1 pick, maybe, just maybe. And the fact that the Bucks have said, we're not tanking, we're still pushing ahead and trying to win this. Hey, you know what? Maybe the basketball gods reward you, and New Orleans wins the lottery and you finish second, so you still got a really good pick. But for the rest of the season, and I mentioned what Doc said, of maybe we'll have to play different guys, I would just imagine we're going to continue to see a lot of that. We're going to continue to see a lot of different looks for this group. Different starting lineups, different rotations, and just continue to see what works with what. Because we've unfortunately reached the point of the season now where that is our primary concern and what we're trying to take away the most in these last 20-plus games. 2 days off, and then they return to the floor. Speaking of tanking teams, with the Utah Jazz, Saturday night, 7 o'clock tip-off here inside of Fiserv Forum. 6:30 is when the pregame coverage begins on these stations. And as always, be sure to stick around after the game for Bucks Talk. We'll talk with you once again Saturday night.
Yes, Toradol is considered a strong pain reliever. It's one of the most potent non-steroidal anti-inflammatory